Hey all, this is Revive Guy, aka multi-multimedia. And since a number of you seem to like me working on Blender and teaching you Blender, I thought I might show you the quick and dirty process I used to animate Uno-chan in the new Tiger Mask. The Tiger Mask episode took some time to get out as it is, but the animation process is pretty quick and dirty. Uno-chan is supposed to be a simplistic 3D character. First, let's real quick talk about the setup. For instance, the rendering. Here's the camera. It has a texture of the scene. Texture of a scene. I use a texture of the scene with the general lighting and set the influence to horizon. And under world here, this is important, you have environment lighting set to sky texture. And then there's the nodes for my little node setup to allow for blur, and I'm not sure depth of field works with Blender, but can have defocus to make things slightly fuzzy. You may pause this and copy this if you want. Okay? Now let's talk a little bit about the bone setup. The most important thing, let's just hang on. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for that. I was having some technical difficulties. Pro tip, by the way, if you append an object and it doesn't want to do anything because of external lib data or whatever, simply copy the object and use that. So, as I was saying, here is basically the core of how my animation works. It's that rather than positioning individual bones, I have this single bone controlling the whole arm. Now, the way this works is I have an IK constraint on the very last object, in this case the hand, and I've here's handle, which is in fact just another bone. I've set the chain length just so it goes up to the shoulder. Saves a lot of time with animation. And as for the handle, I made it into a custom shape to make it stand out. I basically have this ring, and be sure to turn on wireframes so that it actually shows up. So with that said, let's start animating. The first thing, of course, first you'll want to have your sound. So let's go to Video Sequence Editor. Get ourselves a sound. There we go. Okay, a few more technical difficulties. Sometimes I do a thing one time and forget how to do it. I click Draw Waveform so we can see the waveform. That's going to come in handy. Turn on audio scrubbing. It's going to help us. Now, Uno-chan doesn't require any. Uno-chan does have a mouth, so she doesn't need mouth movements, but seeing the waveform is going to help us with the lip sync. So with that said, let's make ourselves a new animation. After we go to camera view. For some reason, whatever animation you've been at, it always copies it at first. Yeah, this animation is going to be the ending of this video. Press A, select all keyframes, just get rid of those. I'm just gonna start by selecting all the controls. Press I, select the loc rote. Always comes in handy. Save some time. So now we have the first frame of our animation. Now, what you want to do first is the absolute bare bones of your animation. See, what he's going to do is look at the camera and wave bye-bye. So, what do you want to do? Have him select the head. Oh, actually, first I should have a starting keyframe for the head. Let's go up right before the voice starts. RZ. Turn the head towards us. Loc rote. Just gonna keyframe the camera so that it stays in place. Before we go on, let's set the end time, which is about 202.
There we go.
So around here he's saying bye-bye, so let's just put in a simple little motion of his hand. Just have him raise his hand up. Keyframe for start, loc rote. Go to the beginning of bye-bye. Now, here's where the handle comes in handy. Just drag it around and even rotate it. RX, RY, whatever you need to do. This isn't quite finished, but I'm going to save the keyframe anyway for now. And just work from whatever angle is handy. Sometimes I use multiple views, but for the sake of this, just to keep it simple, I'm going to stay in this view. So for right now, just going to have him raise his hand. We'll put in the waves later. Save. Now let's go a little bit deeper. How about let's start with that hand animation. Grab, rotate, rotate. Now, let's just, for right now, let's make it simple and just copy these two hand positions a few times. As well as this lower hand, as well as the lowered position. So, what shall we do next? How about we do the mouth poses? So let's go to our character object, the shape key editor, as opposed to the action editor, which we've been handling the bones with. Just call it talk. F to be safe. That sometimes animations disappear, and this prevents it from happening. Oh, with that said, press F for the bone animation. Forgot all about that. Now back to the shape key editor. Now let's just do something very basic, like the character's expression. Let's see. It seems I have smile as default, so just turn down pout. And let's start doing some mouth animation. I'll probably just fast forward this. Mouth is going to be most open during the high points of the wave, the high point of the sound. Right now I'm just doing opening and closing. I'll add some depth to it later. Jiggle that thing to get a starting frame. You don't have to... So you don't have to have a mouth movement for every single syllable. Just make it look natural. I've done this a few times. Like when he's saying y'all, when he says y'all instead of you all, it could just do a smooth y'all. Let's and have some varying width of the mouth. These are very simple mouth poses. I don't have any grimaces or anything. Just open, close, and pout. And he doesn't have to completely close his mouth between sentences, especially if he's slurring a bit. Now let's start adding some O mouths. going to start with a beginning and end for each pout. That should do fine. So let's go back to the skeleton then. Time to start adding some depth to the motion. For example, when someone moves one body part, it tends to move others. So let's take, say, the waist here and turn it with his head. Hang on. Forgot how my own armature works. Oh. Maybe I just set it so... Yeah, sometimes I have a handle, sometimes I just turn the bone itself, especially if it's something in the middle, like the backbone or the head. There we go. Doesn't have to be too extreme. While we're at it, let's just move his hand a little bit. Just for right now. Yeah, I just changed that hand position, so I'll have to make it consistent, at least for right now. Oh wait, I moved the wrong handle. Wrong handle. Now here's where we start to add even more meat. How about we just add a few more, just have him bob around a little while he's talking. Let's take the body here. Actually, not yet. When a character's just standing still, trying to stand still, he's gonna slightly shift, so here's what we do. Just take absolutely everything. Well, the head, I mean the hands, the hand handles, and the backbone. Just very slightly move it. Look rote. Well, let's see. It doesn't look like the backbone wants to move. Oh, that's what it does. Let's just rotate the backbone a little bit. Look rote. Well, let's add a little. How about let's add a little head bob right here. Go to the start. Go to the go to the end of On that note, oh yes, these hand waves. Let's try moving the body along with the. Looks like the best way to do that is with these two handles right here. Let's just put a keyframe here. Yeah, have him just have him throw his body into it. Copy. Yeah, that doesn't work. Let's see. Okay, wait, what was that? Oh, I see. Now, it'll look much more natural if not everything is moving in sync with each other. So let's just shift things around a little bit. By the way, let's have some animation here. Make it, again, not necessarily in sync. Alright. Not everything has to be in sync unless there's this one focused motion, like going to grab something. There he goes, just kind of jostling everything around more randomly. Alright. Guess that'll do nicely. And lastly, let's just mess with the keyframes themselves for different interpolation methods and such. First off, let's select everything. See, by default, all these keyframes just sort of smooth into each other. So let's change them all to free. And now, let's go to the graph editor. Easing type. Ease in, ease out, because that's how animation works, basically. Now, there are a few exceptions, like, if something is just going super fast and hitting something, you'll want to simply ease in, not ease in, ease out. Let's just let's play this real quick and see how this.
And I'll see.
Actually, I'll play it later. And now we have here a cute and simple animation that we can render. So, now I'm going to render this. I'm going to render this as pictures so I can import it as an image sequence. Just makes it easy to put it on top of things. By the way, I didn't do this for Uno-chan, but I have this floor here, which is set only to shadows only. Therefore, our character will have a shadow but no ground, so we can just put it on top of whatever we want. Just making sure that's still running. So without further ado, let's find a nice place to put this. Yeah, there we go. Make a new folder. Now, I may have found out the hard way that you have to remember, keep the resolution at 100%. Full screen is 1920 1080, that's standard. 59.94, that's the frame rate Adobe Premiere seems to like. We have all our nodes ready. Let's see. Have sky turned off, so we have a transparent background. RGBA, so we have transparency. A is for alpha. You never know when something could go wrong, but here it goes. I suppose that's everything. I just showed you how to animate a character very quick and dirty. Mostly didn't take very much, just some bare basics along with some little bits of flavor on top, a few quick adjustments, and now we have a cute, very simple animation. Hopefully it'll save you some time, especially, I suppose, I don't necessarily recommend Blender in general, unless you don't have any money. It is missing a few features, mainly effects like cloth tear. Could probably buy that though, but it's a very good program. I love how this looks with the environment lighting and all the effects. I actually think Uno-chan looks good too, despite a simplistic model. I hope I can find it in me to do a full creature effect or something. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to rate and subscribe, hit all the good buttons, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.
Mmm.